For decades, agents were taught to compete the same way: make more calls, knock more doors, buy more leads, and outwork everyone around you. And for a long time, that worked. But the market changed, consumers changed, technology changed, and most importantly, trust changed. What used to create value in this business no longer guarantees value today. Information is no longer scarce. Access is no longer exclusive. Consumers can search listings, compare pricing, estimate value, review neighborhoods, and even generate contracts with AI before they ever speak to an agent. So this presentation is not about hustling harder inside the old system. It's about understanding that the system itself has shifted. Today, the agents who thrive will not be the ones clinging to the old playbook. They'll be the ones willing to rethink what consumers actually need now and build their business around that reality. This is about rewriting the menu, not yelling louder about the same meal. This is Steve Koleno, and this is Confidential Remarks. For years, agents were told this business was a numbers game. More contacts, more calls, more volume, more hustle. And again, that advice made sense in a different era. But today's consumer behaves differently. When people need information, they don't wait for an agent to provide it anymore. They search online, they compare options independently. They research before responding. So what happens? Agents increase activity, but consumers disengage faster. The harder the old methods push, the more invisible the agent becomes. This is why so many agents feel exhausted right now. They're working harder than ever, but the return on effort keeps shrinking. The issue is not effort. The issue is relevance. If the consumer no longer values the old approach, repeating it at a higher volume only accelerates frustration. The market is not asking for more noise. It's asking for a different kind of value. If a restaurant empties out, the answer is usually not louder advertising. The first question is, has the customer's taste changed? Real estate is experiencing the same thing right now. Consumers are not rejecting effort. They are rejecting offers that no longer feel differentiated. They are questioning fees, questioning process, questioning value, and questioning what they truly need an agent for. And when that happens, simply increasing prospecting activity doesn't solve the underlying problem. This is where many agents get trapped. They assume fewer leads means they need more hustle. But often, fewer leads simply means the offer itself needs to evolve. The modern consumer wants clarity, transparency, guidance, interpretation, and confidence. They want someone who helps them make smart decisions in a complicated process. That is a completely different value proposition than simply controlling access to information. For decades, agents built their business around a few core advantages: access to listings, control of information, negotiation expertise, professional authority. But look at what's happened. Consumers now carry the MLS in their pocket. AI tools can generate explanations, summarize contracts, estimate pricing, and produce comps in seconds. At the same time, public scrutiny around commissions and industry structure has changed how consumers evaluate fees and trust. So the old claims that once sounded powerful now sound expected, or worse, outdated. That doesn't mean agents are obsolete. It means the foundation of value has shifted. The winning hand is no longer access, it's interpretation, it's trust. It's helping people navigate complexity with confidence. The agent who understands that shift becomes incredibly valuable. The agent who ignores it keeps defending a shrinking advantage. The real estate industry was built around one major advantage: information asymmetry. Agents knew more than consumers. Agents controlled access. Agents interpreted data consumers couldn't easily obtain themselves. That was the moat. But today, that moat is evaporating from every direction. Lawsuits, technology platforms, AI assistants, consumer education, and declining institutional trust are all compressing the gap between what agents know and what consumers can access independently. This is not a temporary disruption. This is the new terrain. And once you understand that, you stop trying to protect the old moat and start building a new one. Because the future moat is not hidden information. It's visible trust. It's transparency, process clarity, communication, strategy, interpretation, emotional confidence during high-stakes decisions. Those are things technology still struggles to fully replace. Many agents are being told to solve a modern problem with an outdated strategy. When business slows down, the advice often sounds identical. Dial more, grind harder, increase activity, push volume. But if the market itself has structurally changed, then effort alone cannot restore old outcomes. That creates a dangerous cycle. The market shifts, agents struggle, coaches prescribe more hustle, agents burn out, results stay inconsistent. And because the strategy never evolves, the frustration compounds. This isn't about blaming coaches. Many are teaching the system they themselves succeeded in, but success in one era does not guarantee relevance in another. The important question is not whether the old methods once worked. The question is whether they still match current consumer behavior. And increasingly, they do not. There's an uncomfortable reality in this industry that many agents are beginning to notice. A large portion of coaching, training, and brokerage revenue models were built during an era of high commissions and information control. So when the market begins pressuring commission structures, transparency, and pricing models, many systems resist change because change threatens the economics supporting them. That does not mean everyone is acting maliciously, but incentives matter. If an entire ecosystem benefits from preserving the old structure, it becomes very difficult for that ecosystem to openly encourage agents to rethink pricing, compress fees, or radically reinvent how value is delivered. But consumers are already moving in that direction. And the agents who survive this next decade will be the ones willing to adapt before the industry fully forces them to. The agents who win the next decade are not necessarily the agents who hustle the hardest. They are the agents who recognize that the role itself has evolved. You are no longer the gatekeeper of information. That role is over. But that does not reduce your importance. It changes your importance. The modern agent becomes a guide, a strategist, a translator, a risk manager, a trusted advisor who helps clients navigate complexity with confidence. And that role is incredibly valuable when delivered well. The problem is not that consumers don't want help. The problem is that consumers no longer want help packaged the old way. So the opportunity now is not defending the past. The opportunity is redesigning the future. This captures the core transformation happening in the industry. The old model centered around controlling access. The new model centers around building trust. The old posture defended fees. The new posture demonstrates visible work. The old model feared technology. The new model leverages technology openly and confidently. And perhaps most importantly, the old system relied heavily on persuasion. The new system relies on transparency. Consumers today are extremely skeptical. They want to understand exactly what you do, how you do it, what it costs, and why it matters. That means the modern agent must become radically clear. Not defensive, not vague, not dependent on industry language consumers no longer trust. Clear. When information becomes free, information itself stops being premium. That means the premium shifts somewhere else. And increasingly, that premium becomes trust, interpretation, communication, and transparency. Consumers can access data on their own, but they still need help understanding consequences, navigating risk, coordinating process, and making confident decisions during emotional transactions. That is where the modern agent creates defensible value. Not by hiding information, but by making the entire process more understandable and less stressful. Transparency is no longer a threat to your business model. Transparency is the business model, because when consumers clearly understand the work, the strategy, and the guidance being provided, resistance decreases and trust increases. Here's the challenge. Before making another 100 calls using the old script, try changing the structure of your next 10 conversations. First, stop defending. Consumers can feel defensiveness immediately. Instead of protecting the old model, focus on helping them understand the process clearly. Second, lead with radical transparency. Explain exactly what you do, what it costs, how decisions are made, and where your value actually shows up. And third, show your work. Don't simply claim value, demonstrate it visibly. Walk clients through strategy, negotiation preparation, market interpretation, coordination, and risk management in real time. Because when consumers can see the work, they stop guessing about the value. And when that happens, the conversation changes completely. At the beginning of many client conversations today, there's skepticism, Consumers are wondering, what exactly does this agent do? Why does it cost this much? Is this worth it? That skepticism remains high until something changes. And what changes it is not pressure, it's visibility. The moment clients can clearly see your process, your thinking, your preparation, and your strategy, defensiveness drops dramatically. The conversation shifts from resistance to collaboration. Now the client is no longer asking, "Why should I pay you?" They're asking, "Okay, walk me through how this works." That is the power of transparency. It transforms trust from a promise into an experience. The market is not punishing agents for charging. The market is punishing unclear value. Consumers will absolutely pay for expertise, guidance, trust, negotiation skill, risk management, communication, and confidence when they can clearly understand what they are receiving. The problem was never the existence of compensation. The problem was relying on a business model that assumed consumers would accept it without explanation. That era is ending. But for agents willing to evolve, this moment is actually an opportunity, because the future belongs to professionals who can explain their value clearly, demonstrate their work visibly, and guide consumers honestly through increasingly complex decisions. You were never the problem. The playbook was. And now it's time to rewrite the menu. This has been Confidential Remarks.